Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Tonight it's time to get educated about colleges. In particular, we'll talk about how to prepare for your in person and virtual college visits and how to make the most of your time when you're actually there. I'm James Hayashi, the admissions manager at Colledge, and tonight I'm really excited to be talking about this topic college visits. It could be a really fun and experiential way to learn more about schools. And I'm especially looking forward to our guest, Ed Devine, the Western Regional Director and Manager undergrad admissions at Xavier University. Ed, thanks for spending your Thursday with us.
Thank you, James. Yeah, it's good to see you. Great to be here, and welcome to the group that's online with us.
Yeah, and I know many of those people out there have spring break coming up, and they probably have at least started considering local campuses, and some viewers may even have trips and itineraries already lined up. But families may not be as sure about how to prepare for those tours or what to do once they get there. So my hope for all of you is by the end of our conversation tonight, you'll walk away understanding how to make the most of those visits, including knowing the role that college tours have in demonstrated interest and how to find out whether each institution is the best right fit school for your students. In addition to all the useful information we have not one, two stellar giveaways. First, our list of 10 questions to ask your tour guide and college visit admissions officer. And second, a promotional gift of $100 off a college student assessment for admissions, which will help your student figure out how he or she might be read by an admissions officer. So just share your information in the form at the end, and we'll share that with you. As we dive into all this helpful content, please feel free to ask your questions in the comments box, and we'll address as many of them as we can this evening. But Ed, before we go any further, I think our viewers might be curious about your background.
Sure, James. Yeah, I love the game that we play. I love this college search. I grew up in New England, attended a small school called Colledge. From there, I kind of backed into admissions. Wasn't my childhood dream, but found it, got excited about it back in Boston, working at the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Allied Health Science. From there, I've moved about the country. I've worked at 3 Jesuit institutions, Lemoyne, Loyola Chicago, and now Xavier University. I've worked at the Patriot League School, known as Lafayette College, out in Easton, Pennsylvania. I've had some time working in Hawaii for private schools there, Hawaii Pacific, the largest private school. I've been a regional rep, so I'm based on the West Coast and get to do this work remotely on the other side of the country from our campus. And also get to share this work with my wife, who is a college counselor. And I love the idea of college search and where young people are, and programs like this that help deliver information that are going to help these students land at the right place, kind of demystify some of this craziness. It will work out. It's about you. It's about where you go, and have fun with it.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. And based on that really eclectic number of schools that you've been associated with, I couldn't think of a better person to help us get educated about colleges. For viewers who want to know a little bit about where you are right now, about Xavier, can you tell us about the distinctive features and who might be a best right fit student there?
Yeah, love to talk about that. And hopefully you learn something about Xavier, but also generally kind of what matters in your search. So I'll start with our location, Cincinnati, Ohio. The southern part of Ohio, so a little milder climate than our friendly cities to the north. But Cincinnati is a great backdrop. It is the #1 city for college graduates to move to. It's got great opportunities as far as internships, 7 Fortune 500 companies. So there's a great backdrop for your education. It's a ton of fun. 3 professional sports teams, great commitments to the arts and theater, outdoor life abounds. So our students love the location. They really don't get too active in Cincinnati until probably junior and senior year, because life on campus is very busy. We are just about 10 minutes north of downtown Cincinnati, so easy to get there, but our students do love the sense of community on our campus. Everything, it's a tight-knit, closed campus where you really know where you are when you're on campus, or that you are on campus. Our basketball arena is right in the center of campus, so our students love to support the Xavier Musketeers. We are still playing basketball, so March is an exciting time for our students. And the Cintas Center, the basketball arena, that will fill up this tomorrow evening for the big game as we go into that Sweet 16. But a ton of school pride. Xavier is one of the 27 Jesuit schools. Jesuit schools are known for a few key tenets in their education. One is really building a strong sense of community. We do have 24 different faiths on campus, so it's not a requirement to be of any particular faith to join our campus, but you will grow from that campus spirit and the commitment to a few, again, those tenets. So one is we believe in social justice and tackling those issues head on. And the Jesuits believe wholeheartedly in whole person education, cura personalis, we call it in Latin, but really looking at developing an educational system that talks about the mind, body, and spirit growth of our young people. And so I think that makes it exciting. Majors-wise, we're known for great programs in business, a very active and large MBA, master's business program, but the biomedical sciences, nursing, very strong, sports marketing and sports management. But we're going to do the liberal arts very well. One of our biggest majors is called exploratory. So kind of a positive phrase on that student who's not sure. Definitely a safe space to find your way at Xavier. Again, 5,300 undergraduates, a 12-to-1 student to teacher ratio. So great opportunity to connect. One of my favorite things, and always ask students about the support systems you have going through campus. So things that I would highlight are Manresa, new student orientation, an awesome opportunity to start on the right foot, a 3-day program that's really key to get to being successful. So seek out new student orientation programs. The other thing I love, we have a success team model. So every Xavier student will have a success team that is there to help you. Your first and second year success coach helps with all that transition stuff to college. They help you find the right major. They help you to map out your entire 4-year curriculum. They help you plan for study abroad, internships, etc. So you really do have some great resources to find support as you navigate that transition from high school to college.
Wow, sounds tremendous. Like Xavier really has a lot to offer students, especially those who are looking for mid-sized kind of liberal arts education in the Midwest with some strong athletics. Given that you're a pro at visiting so many colleges, Ed, what are some of your favorite things to do when you're on a campus or on a tour?
Yeah, I love to see the campus. I always talk about the dining center. I've got to test out the food. One of my favorite places throughout my college experience was the dining center. And it's not just the food. We always talk about that, the quality, but it's the interaction. It's the interaction that you see there. At Xavier, we have one dining facility for that large of a school, but it's purposeful because it's where community meets. It's where community gathers. It's where students, faculty, and staff will meet. So hang out there. You'll see it probably on the tour, but find some quiet time to perhaps get a meal there after the official tour is completed or your official visit. One thing you'll love to see at Xavier, we have a pizza ATM machine, the first one in North America, but you got to see that to believe it. 24 hours a day, you can get pizza from an ATM. Spend some time with faculty if you can. If you have that interest, maybe sit in on classes if that suits you. You don't always have to do that. Go to student panels, though. Our students always tell us that direct information from students, whether it's the tour guide or a panel they can sit on, or even sometimes go into class with a student, really gives them some great insight into what it's like to be a student. That's the stuff that we really can't put into a presentation, perhaps, or onto our website. So finding that time to be with the students. And always envision, I like to tell students, take notes, take pictures when you're on a campus, find a quiet spot or think about what you're going to do on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday evening or after a stressful exam. Think about your experience there. Really kind of spend that time looking at the campus in that regard, thinking about being on campus. But really, again, connecting with students. Most of the students I've worked with over the years pick up organic type things. They actually will watch for the interaction between Xavier students. So watch for those interactions. Watch for the way teachers and students interact. Most commonly, if you sit in on a class, that's the one thing you'll walk away with, that connection between faculty and students. So think about the opportunity for the tour. An information session is always going to garner some great information about the school and the application process. So I always encourage at least do that. Beyond that, the opportunity to maybe see a class, Some schools afford the opportunity to spend a night. Those are all possibilities of things you can do while on campus.
Yeah, I love those tips. I think the food aspect often goes maybe underappreciated, but I think in 4 years there's a pretty solid chance that most students are going to eat something. Um, I also really like the idea of kind of after the tour, kind of exploring on your own. So it sounds like it's okay to go rogue and kind of just poke around on your own.
Yeah, and you might even ask that if you're not sure, but for definitely at our campuses, students do that. Many will even just say, "Hey, we're going to go during a basketball game, and we're going to get tickets and go see the game just to get that sense of the student body." So, watching the student body in action is definitely a fun way to see the campus.
Yeah. In terms of the college visit, Ed, could you share a little bit about what role it might play for colleges that attract demonstrated interest?
Yeah, James, we love to talk about this in two ways. Really, there is some strategy to the application process. When you talk about this term of demonstrated interest or demonstrated fit, your ability to showcase that can be very important. If different schools, it will matter different amounts. Some schools that are super selective may not take it into account in any fashion at all. Some schools that are larger may not. But really, there is benefit to engaging with a school. And I think one positive that came out of COVID was the opportunity to virtually engage. That would be through Zoom meetings and presentations, through opening emails and newsletters. We value that. And kind of the story of why, right now, when you look at selectivity, it is super selective to get into schools. We do not have more college or high school graduates, but we have students applying to more schools. So the quality of our educational systems, our colleges hasn't changed, but students are utilizing the web and they're utilizing their casting their net wider. And so we see more applications in our pool, but we also know that students are applying to more colleges. So when I went to school, it might have been 3.5 on average that students applied to, and that could be pushing into double digits. So one question that schools will ask in our decision process, again, we all have different selectivity, but one thing we do ask is, if we admit this student, what do we think the likelihood of them enrolling might be? And you want to give us that confidence by showcasing your research. When you go on a tour, let's say it's your junior year, make those notes, because you might have to write a supplemental essay question that says, why do you want to go to my college? Why this particular school? And really, regurgitating things from the website is not a good strategy, but what's personal to you about your visit or about the connection to the school, that's what you want to convey in that short answer of why a particular school. So being able to answer why you want to go to college, the way students who are on campus right now will put that is, think about a bucket list, think about what you want to do for 4 years, and then be able to name those things at a particular campus. So I referenced our new student orientation, Manresa. You might talk about starting off on the right foot, and I'm excited to be part of that orientation program called Manresa. If you write that in your story, I'm going to get the sense that you've done the research, you know what our program is called. That gives me that high degree of confidence that you're likely to choose us. So again, it is a strategy, but hopefully, and I want the students to think about April, right? Our seniors right now might be sitting with 7 or 8 admission decisions, and you can only go to one college. There's a new energy and excitement in April when you're making that final decision, and you're going to kind of sift through or cycle through all this data in your mind about a particular college, right? And the one to pick. And a lot of the times, the reason you choose is gut stuff. It's emotional stuff. It's not necessarily whether 99% went to med school or 97%. It's, I felt good about that place. And those real experiences that you have and convey to us are important and can, again, influence decisions. But again, think also about building capacity to make a decision late in your senior year in April. And when this kind of new energy comes about, you're really going to rely on that lean into us, that demonstrated interest. So there's a lot coming your way, a lot of things going to be coming your way as a senior and junior as you go through the search. Try to manage that. Think about when I can look, when I can search, when I can lean in. But this will have impact on your decisions. Not every school, again, but some it might be a big part of it. But importantly, think about April of your senior year being able to make that decision.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best explanations of why colleges consider demonstrated interest at all. I think a lot of times students just think like, oh, I need to compliment the school and tell them how great it is, and they don't understand the actual role that it plays and why colleges are interested in that. And just a quick note that I also want to tell students and families is demonstrated interest absolutely can be helpful for a student who's within kind of the academic profile and range of what a college is looking for. But if the student is outside of that, it's not going to suddenly boost them into the selectivity group because they've taken a tour or visited the website multiple times and done emails. Um, I really appreciate all those kind of to-dos and suggestions of what to look for, what to ask, what to visit. Ed, do you have any list of no-nos or things that families and students should avoid on the tours?
Well, boy, gonna have to expand this for another 45 minutes, James. No, just kidding. Yeah, just be yourself. Don't overthink this. We know that you're 17 and starting the search, but some of those no-nos, we always joke, do not wear our competitor's shirt onto our campus. Rivalries are fun. We do have fun with that, but think about dressing and dressing appropriately, professionally. Think about, I worked in Hawaii. I'm from New England. You would dress differently visiting the school in Hawaii versus New England. So think about that stuff. You don't want to get caught off guard or be the only one dressed in board shorts and flip-flops at your visit to Bates College. You want to think about, the people you're going to see there. So kind of running through that. But also students drive the process. This is a great opportunity for students to drive the questions, drive that interaction. So for parents, it's tough sometimes, but letting students lead with the questions, it's time for them to kind of step up, lean in. Doesn't mean parents can't ask questions, but we want to really get to see and connect with the student and see them asking questions. On tours, think about kind of appropriateness. You may be in a small tour one-on-one with one family and a tour guide. So really that's just an open conversation. But in larger tour groups, asking super personal or questions just about your background, maybe try to do that off to the side. Don't try to take over a tour. Don't think that showcasing your interest super, intensely at that point is going to really help. The tour guides are typically students. So kind of think about, not taking over those things, but that's really it. Show your research. Don't be stressed out again. Look about where's parking and where we're going to, what's it like to get to the campus, all that stuff. Consider that so that you can come in relaxed. And I think that's going to really land you in good stead. But do some research so that you can ask intelligent questions about the school, about programs. Know what you're in for. Know that if you're going to go on tour, you might be walking for 45 minutes to 60 minutes. So be prepared for that. If you've signed up to sit in on class, you might want to be thinking about how you're dressed. But really just do that research. And we know oftentimes, don't feel you can't tell us that you just came from another school. The most intense rivalry I ever was a part of was Lafayette Lehigh. It's legendary. And we knew we're only 15 minutes apart. So if you're at Lafayette and you flew in from California or Texas or Colorado, you probably went to see Lehigh. I would have a great conversation with you about that, but don't show up with the Lehigh shirt. We know many students will take one shirt off in the car, put the other one on the drive. That's totally fine. But we have fun with that, and don't overthink those things. We know where you are in the college search.
Yeah, thanks so much. Looks like we do have a little time for some Q&A, but before that, I want to get our listeners and viewers those giveaways of, again, $100 off our student assessment for admissions and our favorite tour questions to ask your tour guide and admissions officer. So fill out the form that we're going to put in the chat. And if you'd like more information about Xavier, Ed has very generously offered to give his direct contact information, and we'll put that in the chat as well. And of course, feel free to reach out to us if you'd like further guidance on tours or your list or any other part of the process. Let's see, one question that I do hear a lot is, when is the best time kind of in the cycle of everything to visit schools? Is it before? Is it after apply? Is it during a spring or winter break?
Yeah, that's a great question. We always would say whenever our students are on campus, it's great to see. So juniors entering into the search that can come see us during spring break, do that. You don't necessarily, you want to, if your spring doesn't align with ours, that's fine. But we love to showcase our campuses when there are people there. There are certain schools, fall is a beautiful time on most of the campuses in the Northeast. But we do joke, maybe you should come see us in February if you want to get the real feel for the place. But really thinking about when students are there. But as students have cast that net wider and thought about more geographic diversity in the places they apply, really it's year round that we see students visiting. Summertime is a busy time, and many campuses will do either mini open houses or something like a mini, information session and then a tour. But take advantage of when you do travel, even if you're going to visit your grandma or your aunt, try to drop in and see schools just to kind of, again, stretch that list, expand that list. That might be at an off time, and it might even be an unofficial visit. But I think the more you look at campuses, the more you're going to assemble that bucket list of what's important to you. But during the day, during the week, that's always a great time. Sometimes the open house events, the benefit there, will bring out our entire campus. So all of our faculty, club organizers, etc. It's a great day to see the entirety of campus, but it's usually a very busy day. That's more people than we ever have on campus during the regular time. So if it's a one-on-one visit or a weekday Tuesday visit while you've got a break, that's a perfect time to do that as well. So think about what you want to see and experience. Again, we talked about sitting in on a class. Some students really love that. Others feel like they don't need it, but kind of set the day up that you need. We do see a lot of California students who maybe visit schools in the Midwest, get a sense of what it feels like, maybe apply to us without seeing the school. And then if admitted, they might come out and see us. We're going to be super busy from now till May 1. We have, open house events. We have regional events that we take open house kind of tour information or information to different parts of different cities in the country. So again, many students will do that later. Sometimes it's their second visit. Sometimes it's their first as they close in on that decision.
Yeah, and thanks. And as I noted earlier, a lot of families are sort of putting their trips together. A question I hear a lot is how many colleges can they realistically see in one day?
Yeah, it can get tiring. And I think 2 is a lot of work. Again, sometimes students might do a much quicker tour. They may do the 2 that they set up and drive by another college. Maybe they didn't even know it was there, and they'll drive through and do kind of their own tour. Many schools will have that too. They might have some type of electronic or even a paper self-guided tour that you can do. So don't be afraid to do that. But when your list is assembled and you're trying to get to schools, you're trying to do some of that demonstrated interest, 2 or 3 is going to be a big haul to get to. Granted, in the Northeast or Midwest, you might have more opportunity to see campuses more quickly. So you might be able to get that 3 or 4, but it's going to be mentally tiring. We see students come to campus tired if they've done some heavy legwork or they try to cram in 20 visits in 1 week. You can see that nothing's really sinking in anymore. They're just colleged out. So, but think about in a day, maybe a day, maybe 2 visits is going to be a good thing to shoot for if you're doing that full visit.
Wonderful. Well, as we promised earlier, we're going to give you the link for our giveaways. Do note, though, that the link will expire at noon tomorrow. And stay tuned for our April admissions chats, which will feature schools like UCLA, Stanford University, and Claremont McKenna to discuss things like athletic recruitment, arts admissions, and more. I'm going to put in the link to our events page so you can find out information on those events coming up. And as we always say as a group that's really trying to reach as many families as possible and provide information, I want to thank all of you for joining us. And if you feel like you need any more help, remember that Colledge would love to support you in any step of your family's journey toward higher ed. Thanks so much again, Ed, for all of your wisdom. I've learned so much from you in providing just that trove of information. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone out there in our April admissions chats.
Thank you, guys.
Sure.